Hello everyone, I am Plankara, and today we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. Yesterday I finished the entire left side. Of course, that being her left side, not my left side. So now we're going to move over to the right. And making pretty good progress there. I was having a bit of trouble at the end, but I think my brain was just getting a little bit tired. I got this strand all done, so now it's time to move on to this kind of big clump right through here. So, hello Vivi. How are you today? Just gonna jump right in here. Fix all the areas that I'm noticing are a little bit off. Oh yeah, and I finally got around to, well, it could be worse. Me, I'm doing pretty good. I've been sleeping a little bit better, and I did not doze off on the couch. So, that's always a plus. I also got around to making my chat window on my chat overlay on the stream a little fancier. Now everyone's name is in like a little blue bubble. I was worried that it wasn't going to work because I can't test it without going live, so I was just like, oh boy, I hope someone chats today, so I can see if it's working out. Oh yeah, I think it looks pretty alright. Not to mention I've finally finished those strands that have been giving me so much trouble. So now I can finally move on to a different part of her hair. Instead of just flailing my way through those strands that were not cooperating with me. I don't think the days of bald Shalom will ever be over. I haven't even started on the upward turn yet, let alone the corners. But, at least for the rest of the downward angle, I probably don't have to make her bald anymore. At least not until it's time to go do the rest of the head angles. And I'm sure that, once the era of bald Shalom is done because I have the head finished, that'll be the time to just, start on the body, which means that I'm probably gonna have to take off her head entirely at least a few times. So then she can be headless Shalom. At least for a while, I probably won't have to take off any strands unless I need to, like, just test something. I don't have the entirety of her hair on yet. Like, I don't have any of the hair over her shoulder, and the back hair isn't in yet. I'm trying to take care of all the front hair first. One thing at a time. Fortunately, this area has been cooperating with me, so hopefully we can get the rest of her hair on in the next couple of streams. And it will just be me flailing at strands that do not want to work with me. That would be nice. So far, so good, at least. Right now, I'm just trying to get this dark area, like, right through here. The right shape. When I loaded up the model this morning and took a look, that was the first thing that jumped out to me. Just right there wasn't quite right. Might actually be the other strand that's not quite right. Okay. I always forget how much my model freaks out when I look too hard to the right. It just completely loses tracking in one of my eyes. I just wanted to look at the chat overlay, see if there's anything I needed to fix. I might try to fix the name color. That should be relatively straightforward, but otherwise I think I'm pretty happy with it. In my mock-up, the name of the chatter was Black. And it seems like that may not be something I have control over. The more you know. I've never made a chat overlay like this before, so this was my first attempt at putting it all together. Fortunately, it just uses basic CSS, which is something I'm very familiar with. I just don't know, like, all the nitty-gritty rules and what it's expecting. I guess in this case, the name might actually be considered a link. Or the username might be considered a link and not text, which in CSS is significant. But I don't know. That's something I can look into sometime. This is one of those cases where the code itself wasn't too hard, but it took me a little while to figure out how I wanted it to actually look. I think I went through like probably 6 or so iterations before I settled on this. It may not be complicated, but it can be kind of difficult to design things like that. Just get the idea and actually know how everything should look. Creativity is hard, even in its simplest forms. If you have a vision, then it means that there's a lot of things out there that do not necessarily match that vision. and finding the right way to put things in order to get the right look and feel. Not as straightforward as it seems sometimes. Let's see. Started poking around at this side area again, and I think I might have made it worse. So let's back up. Just go, like, all the way back. Okay, no, it was always like that. Good, it means I didn't completely mess it up. It was always messed up. I just didn't get it quite right yesterday. At least for me, that's a little bit more tolerable. I always get a little bit sad when I just do something with what I'm working on and it just goes completely pear-shaped and I just mess it all up. It's so unfortunate. Let's go ahead and fix some of these things that I'm seeing now that I did not see yesterday. See, this is why I said that yesterday that the me of tomorrow always seems very picky. And here I am being very picky. The me of yesterday knew what was up. Typically when I sleep on things and kind of reset my eyes and how I see the picture, I do always tend to find problems. So it's not too surprising that the me of yesterday considers myself picky. It's kind of true. But I want to make sure my things look good, so I consider it worth it. It lets me see... It lets me see more. And because I see more, I can make it just that much more accurate. And so everything looks a little bit better. Perfectionism has its pros and cons. It's fine. So I just noticed that there were a few points in here that kind of were like compressing weirdly. So I'm taking a look at the mesh itself to see how those triangles are moving. And hopefully I can get them into better spots where they won't be acting weird. And making the pixels around this bit of hair look weird. Man, speaking of weird, I'm always impressed by how strong my son is. He's like 2 years old, and he got a new toy recently of a fairly nice, like, metal Jeep. A toy one, naturally, not a real one. And somehow he managed to find a way to rip all the wheels off. Fortunately, they snapped back on, but I was still surprised that he managed to do that. He is surprisingly strong and surprisingly prone to mischief. I think he is officially into the terrible twos. Or he's just wanting to do all the things and get into all the trouble. Like he was asleep when I found it, but I'm sure that if he wasn't, he would have just looked at me and went, heh. That sounds like something he'd do. He's been getting very curious too, which always makes me happy. Just wanting to investigate things and ask what certain things are, and when he watches stuff on TV, he's much more engaged. Like for the past month or so, he's been saying words for what's on the TV. Like if there's a car on the screen, he'll say car, and he'll note the grass and various other things that the characters in the cartoon happen to be interacting with or something. I think it's very cute. Starting to get more and more advanced. Because after a while I just started specifying the types of cars, because he really likes cars. But yeah, I started specifying types of cars that he'd see on the screen, like delivery trucks versus tractors versus pickup trucks and stuff like that. And he knows each and every one. And can correctly identify several of them. Although he does like to identify a lot of delivery trucks as garbage trucks. I'm not sure what it is, but garbage trucks and fire trucks are his favorite. We have a old vacuum that doesn't work anymore that we haven't like brought out to the trash just because the kids like playing with it for some reason. And lately he has been pretending it is a garbage truck, and he'll just bring up these little handheld trash cans up to the side and then say something on the just some random piece on the side is the grabber arm. And then he'll pick it up and flip it over like it's a garbage truck. And it's the cutest thing ever. He is ridiculously cute. Every time we go out, he's just out there charming all the adults, so it's not just me that thinks he's super cute. Meanwhile, I think I've gotten everything up here good. So now I'm just kind of trying to get this light area and then this dark area behind the ear all into the right place. Those were the areas that I was having a little bit of trouble with at the end of yesterday. Although I think my eyes were just tired. This area has honestly been working with me just fine, so I'm not too worried about it. Nothing like the past week of the 3 strands from hell. Where no matter what I did, nothing worked. Nothing helped. They were just always unhappy with me. I got through it eventually, but man, was it a bit rough. Right here, though. Right here has been giving me a bit of trouble. But I think now that I've gotten some of the other areas of varying color around a little bit more right, I'm hoping that that area will just kind of work itself out. Sometimes it does work like that. I also found a really nice resource for the various blend shapes that control how like a digital puppet, how my VTuber model and stuff will move around. So I'm gonna do some experiments with that and see if I can make this one track really well. The Shalom model, that is. So this way when I go out and finally finish it and release it to the public, it'll make for a good tutorial on how to do things. That is the one area that I have been the most curious about lately. I just think it's really cool how we're able to take facial features and effectively digitize them. So cool, man. Technology is amazing. It's funny because it was never something that I expected to be super interested in, because in the past this kind of facial motion capture stuff was largely for 3D graphics and animation. And personally, I just don't have very much interest in working in 3D. Not my thing. I am very much a 2D enjoyer. It's like I've tried messing around in 3D a bit, and it was okay, I guess. I had to do a little bit of it in school. And that was true for both modeling in 3D versus drawing, and coding in 3D for 3D graphics instead of just regular 2D graphics, and man, I hated 3D. Not my thing at all. So I never really thought that the facial motion capture stuff would ever be something that I was super interested in, between having no interest in 3D and having more interest in highly stylized pictures. My playlist just stopped for no reason? Guess so. Okay, the repeat got turned off somehow. Okay. But it's okay, it's back. Not sure how the repeat got turned off, but stranger things have happened. But yes, I have many shiny new things to look at, and it's making me all very excited. There's been more explanations out there on the internet, so I'm not just left to my own devices and having to figure everything out through trial and error. And that makes things a little bit more bearable. I'll keep looking around for more resources. See how much of this I can figure out. See if I can make some neat things. Do feel like I'm gradually getting this area to look right. It's just been surprisingly finicky. Something about it just always feels a little bit off. Always has like a little bit of weird sliding or impression. Let me actually take a look at the mesh. That might help me out a little bit. Yeah, that's what I thought I was seeing. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if this vertex was supposed to be this close to this line, but apparently it is. And this might help solve a lot of my problems. If solving my problems is that easy, well, I will certainly take it. Ah, itchy nose. Allergies haven't been nearly as bad lately. So I think summer is finally dying out. This is why I never worry about the plants, because I know that in the end, I will get my revenge. For winter will come, and they will all die, and I will not. I will live. And then I can laugh at them for being silly plants. That is one thing I like about where I live, is that everything is pretty dry here, so we don't get as many annoying plants and bad allergies. My husband used to be from somewhere where it, like, rained all the time. And so the allergies were really bad, and he was really happy when he moved here and didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. It was nice. Because, yeah, my husband and I met over the internet. So we were long distance for a pretty long time. Well, we made it all work, and then eventually it came time for us to not be. And now here we are. Alright, so now that I feel like I've gotten this part good, now I'm looking at this part. Where you can kind of see there's like this dark area, then there's this lighter area, and then it kind of goes down into the white. So that's what I'm looking at right now. And then of course this area. It's like over here was okay, a lot of this stuff was working pretty well with me, but man, this area, right here by the ear, just never quite seems happy. I'm wondering if I'm moving the ears in a little bit too much, and that's why it's complaining. That's been something that I've been looking at for a few days now, but I was just never quite sure how to feel about it, so let's maybe try 2 instead of 4. Maybe that's part of why I could never get that area to look quite right. I see. That's why I didn't want to do 2. Because now I can see the edge of the ear. Okay, let's see if I can fix that a little bit. I think that made it worse. Because, yeah, you can see a little gap between the ear and the hair. That doesn't look very good. Although, is it here in the original? Very slightly. Okay, well, let's see if I can do something with that. I suspect... yes, the wiggling ears. I suspect there won't look very good, but I want to see how it all works out. Okay, so 21 is where it was before. Let me see, how much does that bother me? A lot, actually. Yeah, it does look pretty bad. Okay, let's, how about 3? Is 3 better than 4? Yeah, that should be sufficient. Alright. So, let's do 3. 3 seems to do everything that I want it to do. Yeah, it kind of comes in a little bit since her head is turning that way, and I think it looks alright. Okay. Let's see if that makes working with this hair a little bit easier now. I think I'm gonna take a look at the mesh too. Alright. How are things moving around here? Mesh isn't really giving me any clues. I think areas over there look fine. Getting a quick autosave in there. Freezing things up just a bit. But it's okay. It came back pretty quickly. So let's see here. Nope, that's not it either. There's like something moving up on this side, but is fine on this side. What could be causing that? Alright, let's bring this out and then maybe pull some shenanigans with the vertices by the ear here. Okay, well, something's going there. I think it's closer than it was, so I think I'm on the right track. Just kind of need to feel out where this place should go. There's like that one big vertex that controls like half of the color over there. So I just need to figure out where this goes and then figure out these two relative to it. And then I should be good. At the very least, I think I've at least identified the problem. And that is the first step to fixing it. Once the problem is identified, I can actually go in and do something about it. So it's like, don't hide from your problems, identify them. Then you can go fix them. And then they'll just be gone. And won't that be great? And you don't have to ignore them anymore, because they're just gone. Okay. Just noticing a quick little thing right over here. By this little pink area. But otherwise, I think that area's mostly fine. I think this is the most detailed bit of all the hair remaining. Actually, I think it's the last bit of all the hair remaining. I might need to do a little bit more up there, but not much. Yeah, I think this is certainly going to be the most difficult of the main hair remaining, so I'm looking forward to getting through that. That'll be great. It's so funny when I was cutting all this and just working on all that for the first time. I just looked at this and I was just like, man, the hair alone is going to take more than like the rest of this model combined, more time than the rest of this model combined, isn't it? And it's like, yeah. I always figured the hair would be the most time consuming part. There is just so much to it. It is so complex. So very complex. But I was prepared for that, and we'll see how well the rest of the body goes for me. I have high hopes for it. I've still got a bunch of stuff that I want to do just in my head and that I think about often of just, oh, I could do something like that for hair physics and stuff like that. I'm still really, really looking forward to hair physics. So everything will just swish around and it'll be so pretty. That's really when the model's physics start to join the party. Liveliness increases tenfold. Oh, whoa there. Hand slipped. Got a little bit overexcited there. It's like, no, we don't need to move it that much, just a little bit. Definitely do not want to be overdoing things. I think my hands are getting a little impatient because I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm kind of moving things back and forth and it's not making that much of a difference. And that's always a little bit frustrating. But this little area right there by the ear just does not want to work with me. Alright. Let's just really go into the mesh. Mesh says this should be like way out here. I'm not even going to worry about making it look good yet. I'm just going to try to make the vertices squirm a little bit less. Because at this point in time, I must be so far off that everything just needs a little bit of help. And I think once I get this a little bit more accurate, or at least a little bit less squirmy, then hopefully everything will come together. I can hope. Really focusing in on the mesh helps sometimes, so here's hoping this is one of those times. Only really focusing kind of up around the ears for the time being. Just, I don't want to get too far down. If I don't need to pull shenanigans while staring at the mesh, then, you know, that's ideal. Because it just kind of means that everything works. And I can make sense of everything. Okay. Things were starting to look okay there, so how are we doing out here? Still kind of feel like there's something weird right about there, so let's take a look at the mesh. We're right over there. Yeah, a little bit of compression, I think. Slide things around over there for a little bit. Put things down here a little bit. Okay. How's that? Is that much closer? Yes, actually. Sweet. Sometimes all I need is a new perspective, and things start making a little bit more sense. Oh, nope, that was way too much hand. Be very, very gentle. We don't need to be freaking out here. Sometimes I lament that my hand always feels so clumsy. Sometimes I wonder how I'm able to draw half of what I'm able to, with my hand just kind of sliding around all over the place. I swear, half the time it has no idea what's going on. I think this is some of my struggles with line art. That, and because I don't use line art for my own drawings most of the time, I just kind of blob my way through it all. But I've always found it hard to hold my hand steady enough for line art, even with like a stabilizer's help. Or maybe I'm just not good at using the stabilizer properly, I don't know. So spending a little bit of time trying to get the outer edge of her hair there looking good. Alright, now I kind of want to look at the angle of this dark spot coming through. Right now I feel like it's slanted a little bit too hard. How do I go about fixing that? I guess this slightly this way, this slightly this way. Most importantly, that slightly that way. So I just kind of want to try to get that angle there. Looking good. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. I don't think this right here is technically correct, but I think it looks fine, so I'm gonna call it good. Okay, and everything else on the here isn't too bad. I guess a lot of the work that I did on it when I was working on the first Bang from Hell actually worked out for me. So I'll just get everything from up there connecting down to this lower area. All nice. And then I think I still have to do some stuff at the bottom here, like over here didn't quite look right. Feet falling asleep. Need to stop sitting on my feet when I start rigging here. It's just a really comfortable position, so it's where I start, and then I just don't move, and that's probably not a good idea. I always like to avoid moving too much because it kind of makes my model freak out. I always like to avoid having my model freak out. Occasionally I'll like open a Discord video chat in order to practice with it a little bit and kind of get a feel for what makes it do things. Because during stream, at least with my current setup, I can't actually really see it very well. I have to do things like look way over here, and I've already established looking too far to the right always makes the model freak out. Because it like loses tracking in my eyes. Personally, I think the scuff is kind of funny, but I'd like to avoid it if I can. Gotta learn new ways to make it move around a bit better. It's like I doubt I'll ever redo anything on this current model, but if I ever decide to make like a version 2 for myself or something, this is the stuff that I think about. How can I make everything look nice and have it freak out a little bit less, and how to improve the setup? I've been thinking a lot about these kinds of things. As you see, I was figuring that I'd probably have to grind for like a year and a half or more before anybody started really showing up on a regular basis, but no, it happened much sooner than I thought it would. So I kind of like to put some effort back into the stream and kind of see what I can do to make it better. It's like it's all going very well, I think, so I'd like to do things to make it better. That's why yesterday I spent a bunch of time trying to make the chat all fancy. Man, it feels weird to use all my CSS skills. It's been a while since I've had to do any front-end development. Unfortunately, that's all it is, so it was pretty easy to put together, since that is something I have experience with. For anybody that tries to claim that code can't be creative, I'm pretty sure that they've never coded before. Programming is very much a creative discipline. Actually, that is one thing that I think people have a lot of misconceptions with, of just how many things in life require creativity. Like even math itself requires a great deal of creativity. Just not the kind of math that you learn in school where there's like always a definitive right answer. I don't think schools teach math very well. I can complain about that a lot. But the example that I was actually thinking of when I was bringing that up was chess. Because it's funny, because pretty much everybody that I know that's good at chess is also really good at some other creative pursuit. Like, I play chess a lot, I do a bunch of art. Some other people I know, like, compose music and can play, like, 7 different instruments and stuff like that. But, actually playing chess requires a great deal of just, I guess, raw creative energy and the ability to recognize patterns and shapes and that kind of thing. So I think that's a common misconception of a lot of nerdier hobbies, in that they're logical and not creative, as though logic and creative and being logical and being creative are like opposite ends of a dichotomy. not the case at all. They very much go hand in hand together. And even then, a lot of people in the past have applied a bunch of mathematical formulas to art. It's how you get, like, the golden ratio, the golden spiral, and a bunch of composition tricks. It's all math. Because math, in the hands of a mathematician, it really is beautiful. Just look at, like, fractal art and stuff like that. A lot of that is just calculated formulas and neat stuff like that. This is where I say anyone can be creative, and it can often take forms that you would not expect. Just gotta go for it. I can guarantee that your life will be better if you just go for it. Make a thing. Anything. It'll engage parts of your brain that you may not even have known were there. Like, oh man, I just remember how tired I was when I started drawing every day. Took a lot out of me. I mean, it was really hard. Don't get me wrong. It was really hard, and it was indeed like exercising a muscle that I hadn't really used as much before, and doing it a lot. But oh man, am I glad that I did. How do I keep a routine? Well, I mean, for this, for the stream, naturally, I do it every day at the same time. So that's one thing, but I mean, even before then, doing it every day at roughly the same time helps. Not too much on, like, a sleep schedule. I don't think it necessarily has to be every day, but just setting aside even, like, 30 minutes twice a week to work on whatever project that you want to do can make a pretty big difference. Yep. But I do think that's the important thing of just, this is the time that you work on this thing. And for me, it was every day. Like, I found, at least for me personally, having set time every day helps. But I think for some people it's longer times, a few times a week. Yes, it does. It's okay. I know exactly what you meant. Let me try to get my train of thought back here. Yeah, for me, doing it every day helped, but I know for some people, doing it in longer stretches, for less days, like 2 or 3 days in a week or something, maybe every other day, is better for them. So to an extent, you just kind of have to figure out what works for you. But once you set aside that time, I think the biggest thing is that you use it for that time only. Or use that time for your creative project only. Even if you don't want to work on it. Like, give yourself... I generally give myself 3 options. 1, I work on the project. 2, I sit there and stare at the project. Do absolutely nothing and let my brain get bored. Like, make your brain bored out of its mind. And just refuse to let it do anything until that time is up. Or 3, sleep. Because sometimes I was legitimately too tired to do anything. And I'm like, okay, let's take a nap and try again after. Because, I mean, you're not going to be able to work on your thing if you're just that tired. And that's pretty forgivable. So yes, my options were do the creative thing, be bored, sleep. And after a while, my brain kind of started working with me better. You just gotta... You gotta threaten it into submission. Threaten it with the boredom. It'll start listening to you. Brains do not like being bored. And then sometimes I would also offer it a little reward for doing things. This was especially true when I was trying to get back in shape. And I basically said, okay, days you go for a walk, you can have a cookie. And so if I wanted a cookie, I had to go for my walk. And stuff like that helped too. So threats and bribes. Gotta beat your brain into submission. I think it's possible to gain it. I'd start with smaller chunks of time, like, it's not like you have to be working on your creative thing for like a full hour. I certainly was not doing it for a full hour at the beginning. At the very start, the amount of time that I forced myself to work on creative projects was about 10 minutes. And then once I could do that, I kind of just started expanding the time. And it actually started becoming easier and easier. Because after a while, I kind of started seeing a degree of success with my art. Like, I actually started liking it. Because for a really long time, I really hated the way my art looked. But once I actually started liking it, it became a lot easier. So it's pretty easy to wonder if to say that you don't have enough self-control, don't have enough time, or something like that. But I think that a lot of the time is just a brain's excuse because it sounds hard. Like, I'm not accusing you of anything, to be clear. I think it's just something that our brains do. And that this is incredibly normal, and I experience it a lot too. Where it just says, oh, but that sounds so hard. Would we even be able to do it? And, I don't know, sometimes you just gotta try. And, rather than focusing on what you can't do. Like, this was especially true for exercise for me. Where it was easy to say that I'm never gonna be able to get in shape just by going for a 10-minute walk every day. But 10 minutes was all I could really do. Like, I didn't have a lot of time for this, and I was also incredibly out of shape. So, trying to go for any longer than that, and I'd be suffering. So rather than focus on the fact that I couldn't really do the probably, hour-long jog that I probably should do, I just focused on, well, I can't do the hour-long jog, but I can do a 10-minute walk, so I'll start there. And so I focused on what I could do that would slowly bring me toward my goal, instead of what I couldn't do and just do absolutely nothing. Because some progress is better than no progress. Always. Don't let your brain trick you. Your brain will try to tell you otherwise, but it's wrong. It's 100% wrong. So, I mean, if I hadn't started with that, those 10-minute drawing sessions, where I just did something, then the stream would have never come to be, because I would never be able to draw for an hour. Now I can draw for like 8 and be fine. It is a muscle. You gotta work it out. kind of got a bit rambly there, so I'm not actually sure if all that made sense, but that's ultimately what I did, just threaten my brain with boredom, bribe it with cookies, and try to ignore it when it said that whatever I do won't be enough. I just made the decision that I wanted to do this, so I did. And it started with me setting aside 10 minutes every day. And that was all it took. And as I kept going, it got easier and easier, and I was less and less dead by the end of the day. Hey, let me see, when did I start really doing that? Probably like 4 years ago. It just built up over time. Now I can even look back at like the first picture that I really, really liked. Or that I actually liked. And I'm just like, man, that picture's totally mid. Just because I've gotten a lot better since then. So I just kept going. And going. And that's kind of how it all works out. Oh, here I was having a bit of trouble with some stuff around the middle, so I decided to go take a look at the mesh again, see if that would give me some hints as to what was wrong here. It's like, I think it's all very close. I just feel like I'm missing like one thing right around here. That's why I'm using the mesh for a hint. Try to get some idea what's going on here. Man, I can see I was kind of a little bit lazy making this mesh. Like, it definitely has a lot of the key details down, so it's good enough. Definitely good enough. But it is a little bit hard to predict what will control what when I move it around sometimes. But alright, the mesh is starting to look a little bit more in shape here, so let's see how it all looks now. Still not sure if I like how that little spot right there is moving. Let's see how it looks zoomed out. Okay, no, I'm getting way into the weeds and way too much perfectionism. It looks fine. Sweet. We're good. Okay, let's see. Do I have anything else I need to fix? Or are we good? Is the top good? Looking up here. But I think it actually is. I think I got that in my first pass through here. Okay, maybe the very bottom is still a little bit off. But otherwise, I think it's fine. I actually kind of like the way it's showing a bit more of this pink. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And let Shalom nod a bit. I don't normally headbang to piano, but whatever. She can do what she wants. Okay, I don't feel like doing over-the-shoulder hair right now. So I think I'll do a few middle strands. Man, this one's like practically done for me. Oh, that's very nice. Which one are you? There you are. Oh yeah, it's just dipping down a little bit too low. So once I push it back up a little bit, it's gonna be just fine. Got a little bit of sliding in there, so let me just, like, adjust the vertices. There we go. We're just sliding up a bit there. So let's see if... oh, well, got a little bit of a crunch right there, but... can fix that in just a sec. Let me just get everything into the right place first. And I would have pulled that out just a little bit there. And I can worry about getting rid of the crunchy bits after. Yeah, that should be fine once I get the width right here. Got a little bit thick when I was pulling it out. Not too unusual for that to happen. The brush tool is great and makes life a lot easier. But it definitely causes problems sometimes. I don't think it's bugged or anything, it's just, it moves things really, really well. Sometimes a little bit too well. Still definitely makes my life easier overall. Alright, that should be good. Let's see if it's all in a good spot. Just felt the shape was a little bit off there. Yeah, that's a lot better. Huzzah. Alright, let's do one more, and then I think that'll be where I end for today. Alright. Well, this one's... this one's floating through space. Let's send him back home. I think he's lost. Where are you? Here you are. Okay, where do you go roughly? Kinda connect right there and right there. Okay. Let me actually do this with the arrow keys instead of my mouse. My mouse is imprecise. Arrow keys are precise. Alright, locations are good. I just want to adjust the curl right there a little bit. Where are you, Strand? Perfect. Just gotta make it floofy. Alright. Yep. That's closer. Now we just gotta make it good. First step is to kind of get everything into the right place. Second step is to make it not look ridiculous. Let's go. I think I actually want to pull up the entire bottom there. Just kind of got stretched out a bit. There we go. I don't mind it dropping below the strand here. I think that looks fine. No, just straightening everything out. I always have a little bit of trouble moving 2 row meshes. 2 rows of vertices. They're very easy to make though, and they move just fine. Sometimes it's just a little bit counterintuitive. But every time I do it, I do think it gets a little bit easier, so probably just something I need to practice. Still relatively new to rigging, which is why it always takes me so long to get anything done. The perfectionism combined with the newness means that oftentimes I can still get things looking pretty okay, but it takes an eternity. Just kind of want to get the strand a little bit straighter. I think I was curling it a little bit too hard. Yeah. Just a little bit too much curl. And just make it a little bit straighter there. That's pretty close. Just kind of need to adjust the top, I think. The angle of the top is a little bit off. Let me kind of zoom in and get a good idea there. kind of feel like it's sliding down a bit, so I'm gonna follow these vertices upward. Just upward along the strand. Try to get some of that weird distortion out of it. I almost feel like it's a little bit too straight now, but honestly, I think that's good enough. We'll see if the me of tomorrow is, agrees or not. Or if she's gonna be very picky, as the me of tomorrow always seems to be. But I think that's where I will leave it for today. So yes, we have the main bulk of the hair done. So now I'm gonna put in all the strands. And probably work on the over-the-shoulder hair tomorrow too. So, thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any other creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or at me on the social media of your choice, and I'll take a look and maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.